All right, hello everybody. Oh man, I forgot to do the where it frames the image. I gotta tell you, as I duck below my own logo, technology is not my friend lately. Is it anyone's ever really though? I had to restart the computer twice before tonight's show, and it's still giving me some problems. I might have to do a reset to the computer, because I think it's been about maybe a year or two since the last one. But it is not cooperating half the time. Misbehaving. Anyway, enough of my problems. Welcome to Comic Book Radio. I'm your host, Peter Cimetti. This is episode 202. My guest tonight is John's LONGBOX. He's talking about his Fund My Comic crowdfunder there. Heroic Tales. He's got issue number 1 on that website right now. You can find the link in the description of the show. Among other things, I always have good conversations with John. I'm looking forward to tonight. I think it's going to be another good one. And before we get started, I want to show you guys something that arrived today. This shiny, foily looking guy. This is alternative foil number 8, King Cryptid. This is a bonus for every physical perk backer on Alterna's last campaign. Those books being sent off to the printer on Thursday. And then once they have it, they have it. They do what they gotta do with it. Then I get it back and then I ship them out. That's how it works. No questions asked. But that can be purchased separately as well on the Alterna campaign. alternacomics.com/funding, or you can go to the Indiegogo. And that has it on there. I think it's like $3. On Indiegogo, you get free shipping. On the website, it's better to add it to your order because it's not free shipping. Technology. We've come full circle. Something else about the King Cryptid campaign. Not the Alterna campaign, but the King Cryptid campaign. A lot of perks are closing out on June 1st. I'll talk more about that over the course of the month, but we're getting ready for production on everything. So I have to close out perks to get numbers through so we can get things produced. Now, with that said, the full moon specials, the new moon specials, tonight's a new moon. There's no new moon special. All of those are done. But I do have a featured perk up there right now. There's 7 remaining. These were from months ago. It's for a 5-minute sketch card on King Cryptid cardstock. So if you guys want to get that, get any King Cryptid character you want, I'll sketch it out for you. I'll throw a minute or 2 in there for free. They're $25. Free shipping worldwide. Get whatever you want. Any kind of King Cryptid character that you want. If you want a list of characters and you get it and you want whatever else, I'm happy to provide that list. So there's only 7 of those left, though, and they're just on Indiegogo. It's not on the Alterna site. All right, so before we bring John on, I want to say hello to those of you in the chat here. And let me click that. Whew, I can breathe. All right. We got What Geeks Do Network here. Says, my 2 favorite YouTubers getting together again. Exciting. Pete, are you having call-ins tonight? Because would love to meet John face-to-face online. I do. It's pinned to the top of the chat. It should still be pinned to the top of the chat. If it isn't, I'll put the link in there after I say hello to everybody. But if you have a question or comment for the guest tonight, which is John, feel free to join the show. What Geeks Do Network says, you the man to John's LONGBOX. There you go. Marcus Kellergrew, how's it going, Marcus? Also, I gifted 5 memberships. I don't have the YouTube window open right now at this point, so I can't see who got them. But if you got them, enjoy them. You got them for a month. Cole King, what's up, Cole? Hope you're doing good. What Geeks Do Network? Looks like you must have got a membership, so congrats. Elon Mudd is here. What's up, Elon Mudd? Yan Zhao in the house as well. What's up, buddy? We got, let's see, who else here? TJ Rex. How's it going, TJ Rex? And Is that a little broog? Is that a broog on your avatar there? Very nice. Very nice. Ravindra, how's it going, Ravindra? Hope you're doing well. Let's see, we got who else is there? I want to say hello before we get started. I'm glad you're digging the card, Cole. Cool. I'm glad you dig it. Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate it. Shrek PMC is here too. What's up, Shrek? And Cole, thank you for putting that link up there in the chat. Appreciate it. And for Indiegogo as well, thank you. And feel free, of course, throw up John's link in there too. Don't forget him. All right, so let's give him a big welcome, big comic book radio welcome. He's coming back again. This is the return of John's Longbox. Give him a big comic book radio welcome. Here he is. What's up, John?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain about anything. What's to complain about?
Well, you could, but it's good that you don't.
Yeah. I got an idea. Want to complain for an hour?
I'll give you one complaint. You have one complaint?
Uh-oh.
Give me one. Make it a good one.
I thought you were going to complain about me. I don't like your face, John. I thought that's what I was going to hear.
No, I don't need to tell you that again.
Nah, I got no complaints. I just had a bowl of chili. I got what's his Geeks Network saying I'm one of his favorite YouTubers. What's there to complain about? Life is good.
All right. Good. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Cole, putting up that link there for John and his comic.
And you want me to complain when you got good guys like this?
Exactly. They make it tough. Make it tough.
Yeah, that's my only complaint, that it's difficult to complain. How's that? There you go.
There you go. All right. That's a complaint used wisely.
Yeah.
Now, you're a busy dude, man. Especially, you're making Heroic Tales. Is this your first series, your first comic?
This is my first comic book. Yes, it is my first comic book. It is my issue number 1 of my first comic. And, I came in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I didn't know what I was doing. It was all enthusiasm, and now I'm at the work part of it. Everything's been fun up until now. Writing stories, getting the art colored. Now it's campaigns, sitting there nervous, and then I got to fulfill everything, put everything in boxes and mail it out, So now is the work portion. So it's been a few months of absolute fun. There's nothing better than seeing your words come back as drawn by somebody like Renzo Rodriguez. It's just so much fun. And then Daniel De La Silva Rodriguez is the colorist. It's awesome. And now it's campaigning. And as much as I like talking to people, now I see that I'm on the other side. Talking about my stuff is I don't know, shilling, I guess is the best word. But talking to you about your stuff, I'm all interested.
Did you say shilling or chilling?
Shilling, you know what I mean? I gotta chill my stuff, you know what I mean?
Okay.
When you come on my channel and you're talking about your comics, I'm a fan who's excited. Now I was like, yeah, like me, please. Will you please like me?
Now the tables have turned.
Yeah, now I understand that Ben Affleck meme where he's just,
Is that the one with the sounds of silence?
Yes.
Well, it can't be that bad.
Martin's daughter on. How'd you manage that?
I sent an email.
Really? Yeah.
It was as simple as that.
People said, "How do you get Jim Shooter?" I asked them.
Yeah. Well, I got to talk to you about that after the show because I'm trying to get in touch with Jim Shooter, and all I have is an old email, and I don't think it went anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask him if it's okay because I don't feel it's right.
Yeah, that would be great if you could do that. That'd be fantastic.
It's funny because I sent out emails to, like, you never know, like, their representatives, but like Nicolas Cage. Wouldn't that be awesome to have Nicolas Cage, Gary Busey? Oh man, I just turned on the camera with Gary Busey. Just actors that I love. Crispin Glover.
You just say, "Hey, Gary Busey," and then that's it. That's the rest of the show because Gary's just going to take over.
I can just turn off my camera.
Exactly.
Go upstairs, come back a couple
just
of hours
like,
later.
"Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Busey," and then you just come back, and he's still being Gary Busey.
Because to tie this into my comic book. My comic book is based on my role-playing games. Me and my friends, we play villains vigilantes. And one of his characters' secret identity is he's a psychologist. and Gary Busey's one of his patients. So it's always funny. Like at the end of the adventure, he opens up his book and it's Gary with like, and I try to make the most insane problems just to make him laugh, you know. So
You gotta have those Buseyisms in there too, where he
yeah.
takes a
So
word and he breaks it down
every time I
letter by
see a clip
letter.
of Gary Busey, I send it to him. I'm like, "This is your next session," and he's like, "Oh my god."
So heroic tales. Now you've got this first issue on the campaign, but am I understanding correctly that it's an anthology series? So every issue is
Okay, yeah.
different characters and things like that.
That was my. That's why I called it Heroic Tales and not the Patriarch, because it's based on my Villains and Vigilantes campaign. So I have like, I'm not even joking. I'm 56 years old. I started playing when I was 12. So 44 years of characters and stories. So every issue was going to have a different superhero. And then I realized that's probably a mistake, because people seem to like the Patriarch. I'm actually getting like fan mail, fan art of the Patriarch. So I was like, you know, your boy Zach, Richard C. Meyer, like he's a big inspiration for me as far as like regular people making comics, just breaking in and doing it on your own. So, you know, he did Jawbreakers. Everybody loved Jawbreakers, and then he didn't follow it up for a long time, and I think that killed some of his, you know, enthusiasm. So I'm like, am I making the same mistake? So I decided every issue is going to have the Patriarch, but it's a flip book. So when you flip it over, it's going to have the other character. You know what I mean? So it's going to have two complete stories. Every issue.
So kind of like a Marvel Comics Presents sort of thing, where it was a Wolverine heavy first half, and then the second half had other stories.
This way, you know, the people who seem to respond well to the Patriarch, and they're really liking them, and people have been telling me. I actually put out a heroic mails at yahoo.com if you want to get a letter in the letters page. Some guy wrote me a letter that he really likes the idea of like dads. People have been pooping on dads in pop culture lately. So that's one of my inspirations, is I wanted to make a father that he's, you know, he's a good husband, he's a good dad, he's a superhero, and you know, it all comes from the name Patriarch. So I'm like, if people like this character, and then, you know, I'm crowdfunding. I've never done this before. So how long realistically can I follow it up with an issue 2? And then if issue 2 is another character, and then because I didn't have the Patriarch coming back till issue 4, so how long is that? A couple of years? You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, Patriarch every issue, and then the other, flip it over, and it'll be the other characters, and they're all in the same world. They can interact with each other. The super, like the Avengers, the super team will form at one point when stakes get high, and again, it's like King Cryptid, exactly what you're doing. Each issue is self-contained. So, you know, not that I want you to miss an issue, guys. Please don't miss an issue. But if you do miss an issue, the next issue, you'll understand. If I need a longer story, it's my comic. I'll add more pages, you know, things like that. And if I could get to a point where I can do it more regularly on a schedule, maybe I will do a 2-parter. But I just don't feel I'm charging $10 an issue, which I think is a fair price. And but it's in this issue, there's 2 self-contained stories. There's a 7-page short story called Unheroic Tales about the origin of a villain, and then Daddy's Home is the name of the story of the Patriarch just trying to get home and what he has to deal with on a day-to-day basis of being a superhero. So, you know, and then the Unheroic Tales will be a stretch goal that I'll unlock, and that's drawn by Ron Mosicki, who has a campaign up, Dano 13. I think that's also on Fun My Comic. Great guy. And if I don't mention that his wife has a company called Mabel Bakes that makes the best chocolate chip cookies, Ron will probably, you know, he won't do anything to me, but Brittany will probably attack him. So Mabel Bakes, go to Facebook. Mabel Bakes, get some cookies. She sent me a big box of cookies, and my wife is like, "Are you like exploiting these people? The wife is making you cookies for work?" And I'm like, "No." And then I open up the box, and we were having a game night that night. She goes, "Keep these cookies upstairs so nobody sees." So she totally turned when she saw these cookies. But there you go. They can be able to bake commercial.
So you can go to her website
yes,
and order those? Wow, very nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think of that? I think a flip book is I'm pretty proud of it. I just told Renzo 2 days ago that he's going to be drawing 2 characters. So every issue, the Patriarch. Issue number 3 is going to have his origin, because I don't know. I felt like you didn't tell King Cryptid's origin yet. You gave hints of it. Like, do you feel like our origin for a character people don't really know yet doesn't have the impact that it should have?
No, I like it when you go right into it.
Oh,
I mean, almost every every story you go right into it, no matter what it is.
oh,
You know, whether it's a comic, whether it's a movie, whether it's TV, it's super rare.
yeah,
You're starting from right at that moment. I think there's only been a handful of characters in comics where
yeah.
you
Doctor
start
Strange,
right at the
right
moment.
away.
You know, Spider-Man.
Wolverine. Yeah, yeah. So
You know.
he's been a superhero for 20 years at this point, set in 2024, and then issue number 2 is another current year, and then issue 3 his origin.
Yeah.
But
Well,
issue
I
one-
like it. Like you meet someone in real life. It's very, very rare that the outside family, maybe family friends, where you meet someone right at the beginning and you
Right.
grow up together. So I like it, to have it in a realistic way. You're in the thick of it. You're just meeting them, and they've been living life, and they've been doing what they've been doing. And then after a while, you get to know this character, you get to know what they're all about, and you can have fun and retell their origin in some kind of organic way. I like that too. I don't like it when it just feels like, okay, one day here's the origin. I like there's some kind of progression within the story. Maybe some character asks about it, maybe it's found out some way, somehow. That kind of a thing. Not just like, here's the origin issue, And I know that for older comics, a lot of the time it sort of happened around that way of just, here's a strip,
yeah,
here's a
when
page or two.
they needed a month to rest,
Yeah,
to catch up.
or like, here's just one page that gives you a quick sort of, here's Superman's origin, here's Batman's origin, whatever that is. But to have a story play out within an issue or whatever it may be,
Well,
I like when it's an organic way. And don't tell me everything. Just tell me things that are important and things, kind of leave some things.
you don't want to know his shoe size?
Yeah, I gotta say I don't.
Well, like I said, each issue is self-contained, like you're doing with King Cryptid, but they build upon each other. And I'm hoping somewhere around issue 4, you're going to start picking up like hints that I dropped even in issue number 1, even in promo art that I've shown already. There's
Nice.
going to be a through line even through the other characters. When you flip it over, there's going to be, oh, okay, this was a bigger deal than I thought. That's what I'm hoping. So there will be a reward for reading in order and following. Like comics used to do. and
Yeah,
I'm not writing
yeah.
for the trade.
So
You're going to get a full story in each issue.
So writing this out for you then, what's that been like in terms of getting it all together, orchestrating the beats of the story, then finding an artist, getting that together?
Well,
how's that all been?
I wrote these stories years ago because like I forget if you've been a Dungeons and Dragons player or not. Have you played?
No, I've never played.
Okay.
No.
Well, every Dungeons and Dragons player sooner or later says, "Man, we should make a book. We should write this into a book."
You should. I've heard people playing in comic shops.
Yeah,
and
you know what I
I'm
mean.
like,
And everybody's got the Lord of the
it's
Rings.
fascinating.
But we played a superhero story, so I was like, we're gonna make a comic book about this someday. And then I'm like, well, when is someday gonna happen? Now is the time to do it. So I'm rewriting the scripts because I wrote them so long ago, trying to clean them up. And but when I saw Thomas Valiant by RJ of the Fourth Age, when I saw Renzo's artwork in that, I'm like, I need somebody like this. And I didn't even think it would be proper or to even ask if I could hire Renzo. You know what I mean? Because that was RJ's. So him and I are
Like you
friends.
didn't want to take him away?
Right,
Is that
like,
what
am I
you're-
poaching? You know what I mean? So I asked RJ if it was. He goes, yeah, Renzo.
That's funny.
How many comics can I give to? So I was like, all right. So I asked Renzo, but he was doing Coney Waves at the time, and I think he was on another project. So he said, yeah, give me a month or two. So I took that time to clean up my scripts. I read Will Eisner books. Like, okay, this is gonna happen. So I went and I got the books. I even got how to draw comics the Marvel way. It couldn't hurt, right? Was it going to hurt me? So I got all those books. I reread my books. Everything I could on comic book writing, and I got them right over here. I keep looking over here because this is where they are, right over here. And then I rewrote the scripts based on that. And then I talked to other guys who I trust their writing, giving me pointers. No, don't do. Well, one of my friends, Brian Bow, you know him. He told me once, "This is all world building. This isn't a story." And I felt this big, but he was absolutely right. Because I wrote these scripts when I was like 16, 17 years old, and I just,
what was it? A lot of setup?
Yeah, it was a lot of setup. So I was like, okay, you're absolutely right. Started all over again. I gave one of the scripts to one of my friends. She's a clinical psychologist, and she tore it apart. And then I realized she knew nothing about comic books. So I started to realize who is helpful criticism, who just doesn't get it. My childhood friends, everything is great. This is great. That's worthless criticism too. So there you go. And then Renzo was ready, and I sent him the scripts, and oh man, within 2 weeks I started seeing pages, and it was like, Pete, you've done it. You've got comics. When you see the pages, you're like, oh my God, it was so fun. This was so cool.
Yeah. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, it is. It is.
See it coming to life.
So, how cool was it when you picked up King Cryptid #1? It was like, this is my comic. Oh, The Chair was your first comic. I forgot. Yeah. How cool
my first comic, I made everything on it, and it was horrible. But The Chair was when I, after making my first comic and learning a lot and helping other people out and kind of getting as much experience as I could before doing my next thing. But yeah, The Chair I had written, and then it got the art in, and that was a lot of fun to see that kind of thing come to life.
So you had a comic. I'm confused. You had a comic before The Chair?
Yeah, it was called Spectrum.
Oh,
it had to do with this suit that was it could use the spectrum of light, and it could have almost like projecting like a hard hologram, but go invisible, all these different things, be blindingly bright, that kind of thing.
Oh,
and
cool.
And I only did 2 issues of it, and I hated every second of it. But I was like 20, 21 or something at the time.
You wrote it, drew it, everything?
Yeah, I did everything on it. I was my idea at the time was make every page kind of like a splash page. So it was just really god awful, horrible thing. Bad storytelling. The compositions were all completely stupid.
A lot of those Image comics were nothing but splash pages.
Yeah. But it taught me a lot of what I liked doing and what I didn't like doing. And I learned more about lettering and inking and coloring and everything else. And I learned I didn't like doing sequential art. I didn't mind doing a cover, but at that point in time I was painting all the time and big stuff. So making comic art and drawing it out was a whole other.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at it, I'm getting into drawing again, and I'm like, oh, maybe in 2 or 3 years, maybe I'll give a shot at an issue or something. This was almost 20 years ago when I did that. So
it's cool to have Superman flying over a city, punching the bad guy. It's kind of dull to draw that hand reaching out to turn the doorknob, but you need those
you need that, and young stupid me was like, who wants to see that? I don't want to draw it. I'm sure no one wants to see it, but now, and not just now, but just as soon as I got done making those 2 issues, it was like, wow, crash course, and I, like I said, I realized what I liked doing, what I didn't like doing, what I wanted to focus on more. And then everything else I would hire someone. So that was what The Chair was like. And then, but without Spectrum and without making that, nothing else would have happened. So it's important. Yeah.
I was telling the guys at work that I was making a comic, and I'm a construction worker, and they're all like, oh, wow, it should be about this job with the foreman as the villain, and over here with the... I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds great, but I want to sell more than 8 copies, guys. But that's what everybody thinks. Oh, that's a great idea. I'm an electrician, so I have lightning powers, and that guy, the carpenter. I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. But thank you for the idea.
Yeah. Well, look at that. You're already getting into the realm of a creator where everyone's got their ideas and they want you to incorporate them.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to gracefully, for the most part, be like, oh, thanks,
you've got
I got another idea.
because not only do you make your you have a comic publishing company, so you have got to have. Oh, you make comic books? This is what you should do. From the guy who works in an office, they already start telling you how to run the comic book business. Because I got guys at work who've never read a comic book telling me what I should do. I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, great, yeah, all right, yeah. Thank you for telling me what I should do. I never thought of that. Excellent, thank you. I love that. I just try to be polite.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, people are. It's good to hear that people are excited about it, and I like that aspect.
I'm excited, yeah.
When people have their own
I start,
ideas or
questions if somebody asked me general contract, yeah, John's Comics, Streamline. I hope you don't have to worry about me dropping an F. That was the only time I ever did an F-bomb was on your channel. I'm still embarrassed by that. I was like thinking about that before I'm gonna get embarrassed, and then somebody brought it up.
I don't remember that. That was the last time you were here.
Yeah, last time I was just all excited saying something, and yeah. Zach then says, "Let's fund Renzo's college fund for his kids." Yeah, that's like the thing I keep saying to Renzo. I want to put your kids through college. This is my dream. I want to keep going. I have about 20 scripts in various stages of completion.
Oh wow! Yeah, I was just about to ask you, how many do you have planned so far?
This God willing, this is my forever. I want to do the Chris Claremont 20 years on a comic. But that's up to you guys.
No F-bombs on this channel.
No F-bombs.
No F-bombs on this channel. People have squeezed a couple out.
Yeah.
But we try to keep it clean, because I'll get people all the time that are watching that are like, "Oh, I like watching this with my kid," and they get to see comic pros and comic book discussion and whatever. And so I try to discourage very vulgar talk. I don't mind innuendo humor, but we try to keep it on the level of a Dean Martin roast.
My comic is all ages, so like and that's one of the reasons why I didn't want it to go more expensive than $10, because I think comics should be affordable. I can't do what you're doing with Alterna. I wish I could, but I think that's great. But so I want my channel to be all ages. So I don't curse, but people come on my channel and they say things I don't want to be. You shouldn't be saying that. But a lot of them start to realize when they start cursing and I don't, they tone it down. But nobody watches my channel with their kids.
You just got to give him the old life boy.
Have you ever had soap in your mouth?
No.
Oh,
no,
my mom
I got worse than soap in my mouth when I was a kid.
I got the soap in my mouth. Not Life Boy. I think my mom squirted Dawn right in the old mouth.
Oh boy. Yeah, I didn't get any. I was lucky. My parents didn't believe in chemical warfare. But they weren't averse from I had a Sicilian dad. Enough said.
Yeah,
but he cursed like a friggin' sailor every other word. It's like, where do you think I'm getting it from?
Oh yeah, off camera I curse. I'm a construction worker. If I'm not cursing at you, that means I'm actually mad at you.
Yeah.
But on camera I try not to. You have a Sicilian dad? Palermo? Is your dad from Palermo?
No, Alcamo.
Okay, because every Sicilian I met is from Palermo, or just outside of Palermo.
How many have you met?
Well, I'm from a Sicilian family. My cousins and their friends, grew up in an Italian neighborhood in Brooklyn. So everybody, I guess it must have just been like everybody from that town got on the same boat and lived in the same neighborhood in Brooklyn.
Well, they find each other. That's for sure.
They find each other, and then complain about the Irish. And then my father married one of those Irish, and we had to move to Long Island. So you're half Italian, half Chinese. You got strict parents on both sides. Right?
Yeah. My mom wasn't as bad,
okay.
but my dad definitely was. But he wasn't. See, and not to turn this into like a let's talk about our families kind of thing.
Tell me about your mother, Pete. Let me get my note.
Yeah. I'll sit on the couch. I wish I had a nice couch for this. But it wasn't like strict because it was weird. It was like some things, it'd be like, oh, okay, don't do that again, and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it on this one. And then other things that are like the dumbest thing in the world, flying off the friggin' handle about it. You know, so you could never tell what the hell was what, and it was very strange growing up.
Both my parents would give us spankings until we got around 12. Then my mother wasn't strong enough to give us spank. Then she gave us lectures, and we were like, "Mom, just beat us and get it over with, please. Just ball up that fist, hit me right in the mouth. Let me go watch cartoons. I can't sit here any long for this lecture." I tell you, man, you kids today got it too easy.
Oh boy, oh boy.
So,
What's the patriarch's parenting style like?
that's just it. You said, people ask me if the patriarch is my self-insert. I'm like, no, but the more I realize that it's my dad's self-insert, because the patriarch's secret identity is Jim Kelly. My father's name was James. I'm one of 7 kids. The patriarch has 7 kids. My dad was a good guy, tough but fair. And as I got older, I started to realize he was more of a softie. But when you got an army of kids at home, you gotta put on the airs. You know what I mean? So the patriarch, unfortunately, spends a lot of time away. He's got these senses. I didn't want to give him laser vision or X-ray vision or anything like that, but he's got increased senses, so he could literally send out his senses and see where he's needed. So, like in issue 2, you're going to see he's trying to take a day off, but something happens and he knows about it. He can't just sit there. So his wife is very strict. Has to be a hard gluteus maximus. That's what she has to be. You know what I mean? Because but they're good kids, and because he got his powers in public, you'll see in the origin, they're kind of hidden away because there's supervillains. There's crazy supervillains in this world who know where the patriarch used to live. So they moved out. They stay up in the mountains someplace. The mom homeschools the kids. They have a farm. They're homesteaders. And then the patriarch uses his powers when he can. He hunts. He'll oh, look, there's a gold mine over here. So he'll mine. So he doesn't need to work, and everything goes towards the family. So he's just like the ultimate libertarian dream. Do you pay taxes on gold that you mined on yourself? You know what I mean? Use your powers to turn it into ingots and everything like that. So they're self-sufficient, which in turn is going to cause problems because one of the kids is 19 years old. I don't want to live on the farm anymore. So I think around issue 6, he's going to say to his father, like, am I a prisoner here? Am I allowed to leave? Because it's kind of inaccessible without flight powers, so that in itself is going to cause problems. So like, I want them to be like the perfect family, and he's a loving, none of this sneaking around. He's not flying around like with girls in every port. He loves his wife. He wants to spend more time with his family. They're going to have like the Thursday night dungeon crawl is what they call it. They basically play Dungeons and Dragons. That's going to be, I think, in issue 4, where they're trying to play Dungeons and Dragons. And
is his wife or are his kids super powered?
No, in my world, there's more than one way to get superpowers, but the 90% of people get superpowers is through one way, which will be explained in issue 2, and it's non-transferable. You can't. Your children just don't have it. So one of his kids is going to be wearing a cape. It's only a matter of time before I could fly, so poor kid doesn't have powers, but what are you going to do? So they're vulnerable humans in a world with supervillains, in a world where everybody knows Peter Parker. You don't think the Green Goblin's going to go after Aunt May sooner or later? You know what I mean? He's criminally insane. So unfortunately, and there's clues of why, if you look at the artwork in issue 1, of why they're hiding.
So how are you building up in terms of not just the day-to-day life of him as a hero, but in terms of the grand epic scale of him as a hero? What kind of villains is he facing?
Okay, I have I'm so somebody asked me for inspirations on writing. I don't know how to answer that because I've been reading so many different comic books for so long, so it's kind of like piecemeal. But I will say there's Dungeons and Dragons is a big influence. Like I built like a cosmology, and you'll find find that out, I think, in one of the issues. And I did a video of the universe of the world. But there's ancient horrors. There's like Lovecraftian horrors that going to be introduced even in issue 2. There's alien races, and again, I can't say, but there's a through line that you even find out in issue 1 once you pay attention. There's a reason about superpowers in itself that are kind of a problem. So, there's the way people get superpowers we shouldn't have them. Let's put it that way. And the fact that we have them is a problem. So even guys like the Patriarch are fighting not a losing battle, because he's a good guy, but it's not natural to fly. Human beings don't have laser vision and teleportation and phase through walls. You know what I mean? So let's just say that I read a lot of Lovecraft and Lord of the Rings, and so these people with superpowers really shouldn't be here. So
are you getting kind of biblical with it, like Nephilim type style?
No, it's funny because I was thinking about Nephilim, and then I ruled all that stuff out because everybody's talking about Nephilim right now. You know what I mean? So I was like, it's kind of trite. Like, so I actually got rid of one character entirely because I'm like, it's too much. Everybody's into angels and stuff, which I love. Oh my God, I love Nephilim and biblical.
I got to tell you, John, I don't think that's going away anytime soon.
Oh yeah. So Greek mythology, I find it disrespectful to say like biblical mythology, but there's really no other way to. So the Greek mythology, prehistory mythology, all that stuff will be tied together. But let's just say that flying is not natural. Super strength is not natural. Telekinesis is not natural. So there's things that don't want us to have powers. And by default, if you get powers, you're like a bad guy. Because, like
you're outside the natural order.
Right. It's
that kind of thing.
Let's face it, Pete. How many people do you know, if they woke up tomorrow and they could shoot lightning bolts or control minds, would go outside and put on a costume and stop crimes? No, let's be realistic. The guys I work with are great guys, but if they could control minds, there'd be naked women's bank robberies every 10 seconds. You know what I mean? It's just human nature. It's the exceptional people that would become superheroes, and then even superheroes will kind of get corrupted after a while. And then the funny thing is, one of the worst superheroes as far as corruption doesn't have any powers whatsoever. He was just a jerk before he became a superhero. So there's a lot of this stuff going on. Again, first issue is dipping your toes because I didn't want to club everybody over the head with too much world building. So if you like the characters, I think every issue will be a little bit more peeling back of the layer. And then, by the time the team forms, I hope that there's so much lore that the event of why the team forms, you guys can be like, oh my God, this is cool. This is important. Like this means something. And then I don't think I was about to spoil something, but when something happens in that particular issue, I hope everybody goes like, "Oh my God, did this just happen? This is, you know what I mean?" Because if I just start with the Avengers movie without introducing Captain America and Thor and Iron Man, I don't think it's going to have that impact. So, stick with me, guys. It's only going to get better. And there's a few people that I've been bouncing ideas off of. Of course, one of my friends who I play the role-playing games, everything's great, because, we've been friends for 30 years. But I got other guys who are making comics like, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Just today I changed the character majorly because I realized it's treading too close to another character that exists. It's harder and harder to come up with good superhero names, Pete.
What was the character's name?
Well, I had a Batman character. You got to have a Batman. So he's a street level vigilante, and he was called the Raven because in my role-playing games I made him up 30-40 years ago. He's one of my player characters. He's a Batman ripoff. Raven beats up, but how many superheroes are named Raven now? 30 years ago probably wasn't that bad, but he's been the Raven for 30 years in my head, and I'm like, you know what, I'm rewriting the script, and I don't think I could keep him with that. Like the costume was like a bird version of Batman. So I'm like, you know what? I got to change it. And I'm glad, because what I dreamed up today and drew out, there's going to be a movie of this guy. This is going to be everybody's favorite character. You know, sometimes changing because of, like a lawsuit, like anybody's going to sue me. What you want the $17 I made profit? Go ahead, I'll give it to you. Leave me alone. But you know what I mean? Like, I just don't want people to be like, oh, you ripped that off. That's too close to this. The Grackle, that's a good name. That's a good name for a bad guy. The Grackle. But
The Grackle. What does that mean?
What
is the
Grackle? Annoying birds. Yeah, the Grackles are annoying bird. So yeah, so Zach had said Earth always causing trouble. Yes. Earth is always causing trouble. I mean, again, the very nature of superpowers causes problems because it's not natural in my world. So, and the patriarch is a good guy. Like, I'm tired of first off, I'm tired of dads being the butt of the joke. I'm tired of dads being that goofy guy. I can't figure out how the straws work, honey. And then, oh, dad, you know what I mean? I'm tired of that stuff. So, and I'm also tired of like Omni-Man. People like, oh, is he going to be like Omni-Man? I'm like, first off, Omni-Man would crush him. Like, I don't like super powerful superheroes. You know what I mean? So Omni-Man is superhero. So the patriarch has limits. He comes off as more powerful because that's what your dad does. When you're a kid, your dad is your superhero. Nobody can beat up your dad. You know what I mean? And then, so he's giving off this aura of like all power, but that's kind of his way of keeping the bad guys out of don't you cause trouble? Don't you know how powerful I am? Meanwhile, he's like, oh, thank God that guy surrendered. That would have been a fight. You know what I mean? And now I lost track of what else. Oh yeah, and I just think like Omni-Man was a bad dad. This guy's a good dad. He wants to play dungeon crawl, because I can't say Dungeons and Dragons. He wants to play dungeon crawl with his kids. You know what I mean? He wants to spend time on the farm with the kids. But when you hear what, that building's on fire, how can he sit there and roll dice with his kids knowing that he could literally hear them screaming? You know what I mean? So, yeah, and the wife isn't like, I can't believe you're not spending time with me. She's like, you got to go. If not you, who's going to save these people? You know what I mean? So, I want them to be like the Brady Bunch family, but just imagine the Brady Bunch family, but there's laser beams, aliens, monsters, and ancient horrors that live beneath the earth. Things like that. So.
All right,
I don't know. I got a lot going on, and I realized
you definitely do.
I had to pull it back on the first issue because I think it would have been.
Yeah, you can't dive into everything like that.
Well, like King
on the first
Cryptid,
issue.
you got a lot going on. I know
you got to tell one story at a time.
Absolutely, that's what I'm doing. Except I'm telling 2 stories at a time because it's a flip book now.
Well, there you go.
Issue 2 is going to have the patriarch. And then you flip it over, it's going to have the origin of Mary Sue. Mary Sue is the perfect woman. So she's a Chinese-American woman.
You think you're getting a little too on the nose there with the commentary, John?
Yeah, and then Mary Sue, she's perfect, and that's her problem. So I love this character. Renzo is drawing her right now, and she has the power to manipulate probabilities so that everything could work out her way, but if she manipulates the probabilities that something else happens, and it may cause bigger problems. So here's a woman who's literally perfect, but she doesn't.
John, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I really think you should reconsider the naming of the Mary Sue.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening. She's Mary Sue. Why, you think people are going to sue?
No, it has nothing to do with suing. It's more just the connotation. You're immediately putting in a loaded character name. Right in there.
I'm subverting expectations. as what's his name says. Yeah, it's funny because a couple of my friends said, I already hate her. I'm like, yeah, no.
See, Comics for Life says, if you could cross over your character with any other character from other companies, which would it be?
I would, that's an easy question. My 2 favorite superheroes. I would love to see the Patriarch and Superman shaking hands, talking above the clouds. You know what I mean? That's Superman is my favorite superhero of all time. He is the patriarch of superheroes. You know, as Mark Waid, that guy who bothers me to no end, wrote in Kingdom Come, when Superman left, all the other superheroes became spoiled jerks. You know, just the presence of Superman made the DC heroes behave. I would love the patriarch to beat Superman. And then after Superman, Ben Grimm. Who doesn't love the Thing? You know, just playing cards, smoking a stogie, both of them having a beer. You know, to everyman, because the patriarch was an EMT before he got his powers. You know, he wasn't rich, he wasn't a millionaire, he wasn't an inventor. He's not particularly smart. You know, he's smart enough to be an EMT, but he's not gonna make the ultimate doodad to solve the crimes. You know what I mean? So hanging out with Ben Grimm, I want to hang out with Ben Grimm. I love that guy. You know.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting crossover.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we got somebody behind.
Oh, he's going to show up in
the green room.
In Blood Realm crossover with Kara Morvel and the King Cryptid. Pete and I are announcing that tonight.
No. No.
But that's great. I can't wait for that, by the way.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, looks like we got Rob here. What's up, Rob?
Hey, Rob! It's fun to
Hey!
see you. What a great room you're in! Holy moly!
Oh yeah, this is the
Man, I
studio
thought I had
here.
a cool room. You got to have a YouTube channel. Look at that.
Yeah, well I do, but I have to get on it and start working on it. It's something I've been planning on doing, but family and all, you know, stuff takes time. How are you guys?
Doing
great.
good. How are you, Rob?
Good to see your
Good.
face to the names. You know.
I know, right? So nice to finally kind of sort of meet you online.
Pete, could you please grow your beard out so you could join us, please?
Yeah.
You got to have an
I'll
epic
try.
beard.
It's just not going. Sorry.
I just wanted to hop in real quick before you guys end it and say thank you guys for hours of entertainment.
There.
I did mean that when I said you guys are my favorite YouTubers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really do enjoy watching your shows, Sunday morning comics, and
That's my favorite.
yeah, it's so much fun. And the new thing you've been doing with Kelsey Shannon is a lot of fun. Comic Book Radio is my bomb. Like I always watch that as much as I can, even if it's on a rerun. I haven't been able to stay up super late to catch the live show, but I made sure to stay up tonight to catch you guys live.
Oh,
So
I
thanks,
go to
bro.
bed at 9:30. I'm up late for Pete.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
I wish
Congratulations.
YouTube would have something that's like a live feed with the channel, like where something's always playing, and as soon as you tune in, it's kind of like tuning into like a channel, and then you could do on demand. I wish YouTube would do that.
That's a good idea.
That would be
You
fun.
could probably just run a live stream continuously and then just hop in and out.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that. That's extra work.
But anyway,
Thank you for making my musical interlude. Right?
oh yes, I enjoy it.
He's tired. He was tired of me having that 30-second countdown.
You deserve better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, nice to meet you, John. Congratulations on your campaign.
And you know what? Send me a DM. Come on my channel. Let's talk for an hour or so.
I would love
you
to.
know?
I would love to. I mean, I have a small channel, but I would love to have you on before your campaign ends.
Yeah, I'll go.
Talk about your comic.
Even if you have one viewer, I'll go on. You got one subscriber. It's
I think I have like
it really
90.
matters is talking comics more than anything else. You know.
No, I agree totally, and that's why I enjoy you guys so much because it's all about. I've learned so much from both you and Pete, just like your knowledge of
Oh, I'm glad
comics.
to hear that,
it's-
man.
Yeah, and like Pete's got this knowledge of like the industry and like printing, and you've done some great shows on things that I had no idea about. You know, so I appreciate you
mostly
guys.
everything I talk about. I know nothing about. So.
You know a lot. You're very knowledgeable when it comes to comics. It's always fun to watch.
Well, I don't engage in drama. I don't want to fight with people. I just want to talk about comic books. You know.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm with you.
I was told that that's boring, but I don't know. I find it interesting.
I did the drama thing for like a second, and it's just, I don't know. Like,
It wears on your soul.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
authentic. How do you do anything that's not authentic? It's not authentic for me. I can't speak
I
for
said
anyone
to a
else.
certain person, "There's a restaurant around the block from me that's terrible. You want to talk about it for 6 hours a night?"
Yeah,
You know.
I agree.
That's a funny analogy.
You know what I mean? Isn't
Yeah, I hear you.
you ever have a coworker that just complains about his wife, and you're just like, "Oh my god, And hey, John, your partners with Rob Solo, and then Rob Solo just complains about pizza Betty every day for 8 hours a week, 40 hours. You don't want to go. You don't want to call it sick. I don't want to hear that. But if Pete's like, oh man, Rob Solo said this, and we're talking about this, and we're doing this, that's a good week.
Yeah. It wears on you, and I find that for me, when I was more prone to do that, months went by, and I'm like, I feel like I'm just spinning in circles here. I feel like I'm on the hamster wheel. I'm running real fast, but I'm getting nowhere. I'm putting a lot of energy into something, but I'm not doing anything. And I just was like, between that and just feeling icky inside a lot of the time.
And then you get to the point
more
where
upset than I really should be about things
Right.
that don't really matter, and it's not doing anything positive to make anything change necessarily. I just was cold turkey with it. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do that
I found
anymore.
myself like on Twitter just arguing with people, and then I realized I was arguing like even against my point just to win. You know what I mean? Like I bring up some obscure quote or something like that, just to like, now I won the argument, and I'm like, but I don't even believe this.
Yeah.
And then I'm going upstairs telling my wife, and I'm walking in circles because she's like, just delete Twitter. So I'm
There
like,
you go.
yeah. So I don't know. Right around when I started my
Yeah.
channel, I kind of
Well,
just
law of attraction, law of attraction. I want things that resonate in a positive way. I want people that resonate with me in a positive way. And it doesn't mean that I will not discuss something that is maybe upsetting me, or that we're not going to talk about something that we have a dissenting opinion on or whatever. But it's one thing to talk about that, let it out there, it's gone, and then you move on and whatever, than it is to just like stew about it and really let it get to you or define you or anything like that. That's when it really becomes kind of dangerous territory.
Drama is stress 100. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Rob. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, thanks,
And
guys.
I love that room. That is awesome. You gotta have a YouTube channel with that.
Yeah, it's a fun looking room.
I appreciate that. No, I mean, I have been podcasting since 2012, but I used to do just basically audio, and then I did a music podcast in the early days, and then I did What Geeks Do. What Geeks Do has been around since probably 2014-ish, but I erased everything. That I used to podcast with two different guys, and we just kind of fell out and just stopped talking or whatever. So I got rid of all the back stuff and just kind of started fresh. So I'm looking to build it up now.
Oh, yes. Come on my channel, and I'll go on your channel. It's all about it's about talking and stuff.
Yeah, it really is.
After I showed my face, a lot of people said that I should do radio instead. So,
keep doing what you're doing. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
John, those were all of your sock puppet accounts.
Yes, yeah.
Rob, thank you so much for stopping by, man. Have a great night,
Pete.
brother.
You too. Take care.
Take it easy.
Aldous on the farm is here. How you doing, Aldous?
Yeah, what's up, Aldous? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight. All right, now before we part ways, I gotta take a look at your campaign here. So let's see what we got.
Okay, you're bringing it up. Okay, cool. Yep, this is my 112 backers. Wow, Pete, do you obsessively look at your numbers? I'm trying not to. There's like a whole day where I won't even look. Because that just wears on your mental.
Yeah, no, I usually don't. But when I first started doing crowdfunding, man.
Yeah, every 10 seconds, refresh.
Especially, it wouldn't be necessarily like a refresh sort of thing. But because you would get like notifications when someone backed. But it would be one of those things of like looking at the campaign and almost like trying to manifest a backer. Like staring it down. It was very, very early days of crowdfunding. And no one knew anything about anything. Everyone was doing like the whole like, for $1 you could support me, kind of begging for money and support and whatever. And if you raise like $500, you were like, oh my lord, this is insane. So it was a very strange time. But I haven't really ever since the first maybe year or two of crowdfunding. I haven't really been that tuned in, but it's exciting when you get a backer. It's exciting when
Yeah,
you
it
get
is.
people that are just supporting and spreading the word. Absolutely.
I want as many people to read my comic and love it, as possible.
Yeah, yeah, because that's exciting. That's what that means,
Yeah.
is that these are
And it
people
means
that
I
are
get to make another one.
digging what you're doing.
So look at that picture by Renzo. That's the cover. But I just love that. I guess we'll go down. We'll look at the art.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming up right here is the cover, Heroic Tales. I was saying today it's a Bronze Age cure for chaotic times. It's a Bronze Age cure for these chaotic times. It's my love letter to blue sky superheroes. It's supposed to invoke older comics because that's what I'm trying for. This is the Pat Broderick cover. You can only get this on Fund My Comic. So when I'm done with Fund My Comic, I'm going to go to Kickstarter, and I have a Michael T. Gilbert cover that'll only be on Kickstarter. And then when I'm in Indiegogo, I'll have a Mike Gustovich cover that'll only be on some great classic artists. Now, this is my favorite piece of art probably in all comic books. I was coming home on the train one day, and I was like, the back cover is going to have an ad for the printer, which is fine. The printer's a good guy, but it's my first comic. I want to have art on the back cover. So I was like, what encapsulates the patriarch? And I got on my phone and I sent a text message to Renzo, and I described this, and he dropped everything and sent me back the pencils. I was like, oh my God, this is all. So that's his family. That's his wife down there with the pink hat. That his daughters. He's got 2 sets of twins. That runs in the wife's family. She's Greek Orthodox, and he was an Irish Catholic and converted to Greek Orthodox because I think the patriarch just fits Greek Orthodox better than anything else. And so yes, they're religious. They homeschool. They're homesteaders, but it's not like it's a preachy comic. I'm not particularly religious myself, but
Did you say his wife is the one in the bottom right?
yeah, in the pink holding, she's got the pink hat on her head with the
Is
scar.
there does she have like some kind of a skin condition or some kind of what's happened to her?
I don't want to tell you what happened to her. That'll be revealed in the issue 4. But let's just say that there's a reason why they don't live in public anymore. She's been scarred up on the whole left side of her body. Burns.
It's just
been burnt.
Something happened. Some kind of attack.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
So
Wow.
This is Boss Moxie. He was a construction foreman who woke up one day with the idea that he was going to rob banks. Now, it's a silly little idea, but again, sooner or later, you're going to realize why these things happen. I was thinking, why does Gotham City is filled with guys who dress up like the Penguin or the Joker or whatever? Well, this is Science City. Science City broke ground in 2001. It's modern marveled. It's set in Arizona, and all the skyscrapers have solar panels. It's the ecological new world, and it was designed by Ian Strange, who's a magician architect. And literally, the streets form magic circles and glyphs and everything to channel ley lines that travel through the Arizona deserts. But Philip Manning, the industrialist, didn't follow the blueprints correctly, so people are going crazy. If you could see right above Boss Moxie's head, there's a statue of the Colossus of Rhodes. That was supposed to be a spire. It was supposed to be the exact center of the circle of the inner circle was a spire, and it was supposed to collect and magnify this ley line energy. But he put a Colossus of Rhodes there, so the energy is. He didn't. Yeah, right. Yeah, we're gonna build this crazy magician, and he put a vanity symbol of himself. Now people are going crazy. So now construction foremen are waking up and robbing banks, talking like, "Hey, Muggsy, hey Pete, I'm gonna rob you, Pete." And he gets some sexy showgirls with him who are. One of them might become a main villain in her own right. One of them is just like, "Hey, this will be cute." Another one is a freaking sociopath, but you won't see that in the first issue. I'm sorry. And this was the first page that Renzo sent me. The page 2, the debut. How cool is this image? How cool.
Yeah, nice iconic shot.
Yeah. Read, he went right to, he drew both pages, but he sent me page 2 first. Oh my God. I got emotional when I saw this. This is my character, And if people want to say that that's my self-insert, I'd just say, I wish, I was about to give away another spoiler. I have to control myself. I get excited and I want to give it all away.
Oh yeah, I hear you, man. It's
You're
tough.
pretty good with King Cryptid. You're not telling people stuff.
As long as you're not giving away anything that's a surprise.
Right.
If you give away the surprises, then that's gonna ruin it for people. But everything else is just letting them become familiar with what it is that you're creating.
He stops the villain without this is again him using his reputation and aura to stop a fight. He doesn't, Dad doesn't want to spank the kids. The patriarch doesn't want to beat up people, especially a guy with no powers. But he does have a Tommy gun, so there is an off chance of somebody getting hurt. So he de-escalates the situation. Like, I wanted his first encounter to show that he's not a bloodthirsty maniac. He's a good guy. And he's a bit of a flirt. I wanted to do that trope. You know how, like, the Spirit or the original Captain Marvel, all the women were throwing themselves at him, and then he would just like leave and run away. Well, he leaves and the women throw themselves at him. He's a great, super popular, wealthy superhero now. But he's loyal to his wife. So he's like, thank you. Like, she propositions him, and he's like, thank you, ma'am, but I gotta go. And then, here he is. He's using his senses to see, can he go home now? Car accident. You gotta have a, he's got to save the family. He can't. How can he, in good conscience, go home knowing that there's a family about to drive off a cliff? That's one of the things about Superman. Like, Superman's senses are like galactic. How could Superman ever rest? There's always somebody in problem. His senses aren't as widespread as Superman's. He could only see a few miles. You know what I mean? So, because if he could see the whole planet, then spending time with his kids is almost like selfish. You know what I mean? While other people are dying.
Yeah, you'd have to learn more how to turn off your powers than to
Right.
use them.
Well, his powers are strained too. So he's getting tired. He's getting more tired. He's vastly weaker than Superman.
Do you have any pages that are lettered with the writing at all?
No, I didn't put the lettering up because we're going to do the lettering last. Renzo is heading in his last 2 pages, and then we letter and we're done.
Oh, okay, cool.
I didn't do any. The letter is Bill Williams. He does a comic called Pantheon with Phil Whedon, I think, is the artist. Bill Williams is phenomenal. He did lettering for Bill Willingham for a while. So he had a comic in the 90s called Heroic Tales, and somebody pointed that out to me. So I reached out to him. Like, I don't want a problem, and I also didn't want to change the title. So he came on my channel, we talked, and then after we were done talking, he's like, "You need a letterer?" I was like, "But you're like a real guy." You know what I mean? He's like, "No, you know what I mean? Like, do I like you're a real professional. You work with legends like Bill Willingham. You have a great comic." He's like, "Yeah, let's work together." So, what a good guy. So Bill Willingham, and he's available for lettering. He told me to tell people if anybody needs a great letterer.
Nice.
Yeah. So he's repairing, I put in this scene to show that his powers are different than Superman's. You see, he's repairing the guard with his, you know what I mean? He's got different powers than Superman.
How does he do that? Is it like magic?
No, he's not. He has telekinesis. I already
Telekinesis?
spoiled it. So he's telekinetic, and he uses his telekinesis. Like, I got that idea from Superman with Gladiator. He uses telekinesis like around his body to mimic super strength. Yeah, he's muscular. He works out, but he's no stronger than like a guy who's been working out for 25, 30 years. He eats healthy. He understands his responsibilities. He wants to live long to see his kids get married. So he eats healthy. He works out regularly. He works out with his kids. But if his shields aren't on and you punch him, you can knock him out. So that's one of the reasons why he talked the guy. He probably couldn't have deflected all the bullets from a Tommy gun, So he acted like he was tougher than he was to intimidate the guy to drop the gun. He's like, come on, when you see the word balloons, you'll see he kind of like, you're already defeated. You're just gonna fire the gun, and then you're gonna go to jail for even longer. Just surrender now.
So he's got to use his wits.
Right. And then that in this very issue, the main bad guy who I didn't show yet, you're gonna see he figures out you're a fraud. You're not super strong. You're not invulnerable. I know how to defeat you. So the return of the master villain is going to be pretty devastating because he Dr. Doom figured out Reed's weakness.
What's his name? What's the big villain's name?
I didn't tell you yet. I didn't tell you.
Oh,
yet.
okay. All right. So that's a spoiler. Okay.
And then I made this coin. There's a place in Norway called the Norse Foundry, and I love them. It's expensive. It takes a long time. So if anybody wants to use the Norse Foundry, you got to plan it well in ahead. The coins should be showing up this week, and I put the order in months ago. But I think they look cool. They're the size of a nickel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then you got a pint glass here.
A pint glass here. You can't see it, but here you can see it's got the laurel wreath.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. You can see it's got the laurel wreath because, like I said, Patriarch is going to come home after a hard day of superheroing, have a beer. He's a dad, and I believe it or not, Pete, and I talked myself out of it. I had the idea of like him telling a dad joke at the end of every issue, like Gabe Kaplan on Welcome Back, Kotter, and I realized I could talk funny, I could be extemporaneously funny with people, but I can't write funny. It's the timing in writing is really difficult. So. Maybe I wrote one joke in issue 2 so far. Let's see if anybody thinks it's funny.
Maybe you could have him be punny.
Yeah,
some kind of pun.
I hate puns and I hate parody.
That's dad joke territory, though.
There you go.
99% of dad jokes are puns.
Yeah, and then 99% aren't funny.
Well, I mean, goes with the territory. But you chuckle to be polite.
But if you can get a laugh with a bad joke, I got to respect that. So stretch goals are going to be cards. The first one is unlocked, and I'm hoping to have the image up here by the end of the weekend because the first I already showed the image on Twitter. It's the Patriarch, good superhero pose, and on the back, it's going to have his villains and vigilante stats. I took forever to do that because I didn't have permission from Fantasy Games Unlimited, and I emailed this guy, and I emailed him, and then finally I was just like, all right, I'm going to make up similar stats, nobody trademarks numbers. And then I said, let me email this guy one more time. And I emailed him, and 5 minutes later, gives me his phone number. We're talking. He's like, use this will be great. I'm going to put your link on my website. And then he was even saying, maybe Brian, your 6th issue, we'll work together. We'll make a resource book for villains and vigilantes. Because I don't know if you know this game, but I've had a long history with this game online. I've had a forum that pretty much one of the only active forums for this role-playing game for 20 years, to the point where like official
I'm not familiar
announcements
with the game.
Yeah, I love that game. And now after talking with, I would love to give something back to this game that I love so much, to make a Villains and Vigilantes resource book. I really do hope it happens. And then when I get that out of my system, I'm really thinking of making a Heroic Tales role-playing game. But this all depends on if you guys are, buying the comics, because Pete will tell you, making comic books ain't cheap. It ain't cheap, So I got big plans, but I'm a blue collar guy. So I unlocked the first stretch goal. So there's going to be, the second card will be Boss Moxie, the 3 girls, and then the last one will be the villain. So maybe the villain will be spoiled. I hope the villain's spoiled before the comic comes out, because that means we're up to 8,000.
Very nice.
Yeah, and there's a crazy guy.
You said you're putting this on Kickstarter and Indiegogo as well. Or is that going to count towards unlocking things with the stretch goal?
Yeah. It's one pot as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And Luke Stone. How did I get those two names mixed up? Luke Stone, the owner of Fund My Comic. He gives you a good rate if you go exclusive. So I'm going to go exclusive, and then when that's over, I don't understand how people are. I only go on Kickstarter, or I only go on Indiegogo, or I only, I'll go where the good comic books are. Alterna was on Indiegogo. I went to Indiegogo. I go where the good pizza is, right? So I'll go where the good pizza is. So, but if I could go on Kickstarter and get a different audience, and then if I could go on Indiegogo, get another audience, and then I'm hoping that some of the people that already backed will go for the variant covers. And I understand if you just go to Kickstarter and just get the new variant cover, that's cool. That's cool. You know, I don't know if I'll go variant cover crazy for issue 2 because it's going to have 2 covers. You know, one for Mary Sue and one for the Patriarch.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's tough with the variant cover stuff because you got to make sure that. Well, you're probably. How are you printing the book?
Comics Wellspring, most likely.
Okay, so you're doing digital print on demand. All right, so that's not as bad. But yeah, because I was gonna say that you have to make sure because sometimes people, the printers, they won't really help you out, and sometimes the printers, if you go like offset or something else like that, they won't let you know that you can just print all the guts in a big run, and then just have them print the covers as variations. Some printers won't help you out, and they'll go through that and print them all as individual books, and you'll get screwed big time on printing.
See, you know, I learned
but
every time
Comics
I go
Wellspring.
somebody,
Yeah, that's that.
I'm sorry, Comics Wellspring won't do that.
No, well, Comics Wellspring is printing in a different way, so they're not using like a big offset printer. That's going to be a digital printer instead. So every issue will be in and of itself the way that it is. So they're going to my knowledge anyway, every time I've dealt with them or I've had other people work with them or anything like that, if I've ever talked with them about anything, it's usually just every book is just treated as its own book. So it doesn't matter if it has a different cover with the same interiors, the book is a book. But there's tremendous savings involved if you go through like an offset and you let them know, no, these are cover variations and the interiors will be the same.
Okay.
So if you end up printing like 500 copies or something like that, I would definitely suggest going offset instead of doing print on demand.
Okay, if I message you, because you know this talking about dimensions and printing.
Yeah. Let me know like how many copies you think you're looking to print when the time comes, and I'll recommend a printer to you.
Again, the comic book people have been so wonderful. Like I didn't even know flatting. You know, who's going to do your computer flat? I didn't know that was a step. You know, so I think you were the one who explained that to me. I was like, really? I thought it was just draw comic books and get them print. Like that South Park meme. Step 1, draw the comic book. Step 2, I don't know. 3, profit. You know, there's a whole bunch in that step 2 that I did. There's Bill. There's Bill, great guy. Just got out of the hospital. He had a cancer surgery. He's doing fine.
Oh wow, man.
Yeah. Good guy. That's Daniel De La Silva Rodriguez. He looks exactly like that. He's a superhero. He has mental powers. Now, I don't know what he looks like. It's funny. If you scroll down, there's more. Ron Mosicki is doing the backup art in Unheroic Tales. That's 100% drawn, 100% colored. I was going to use that as a stretch goal, but then he took on 2 projects, and I was like, I don't know. Like right now, he has a window. I was like, just do it. Just do it. You know, we'll see if it, you know, doesn't matter. We'll just do it. It's my first comic. Let's go crazy. So he was great. Fun guy to work with. Super talented. He's going to be a rising star. You know, he's going to be a rising star. And he's got his own comic called Nano 13 coming out with his buddy writing it. And Oscar Carreno is the colorist for Unheroic Tales. He's also available for anybody who needs colors. Great guy. Talented guy. You know.
Oh, so he's the colorist for the side story, for the backup.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
great
nice,
team. Like
man.
I said to people, and I'm not even joking. Oh, and Renzo. I skipped over Renzo, my buddy Renzo. Talking about Nephilim, I think this guy is the son of an angel. You know, he's the nicest guy. He came on a comic book team up with RJ and I, and he's just like a sweetheart. I just want to hug him. Like,
yeah, Renzo's a good dude.
Like if I make like 20 grand, I want to fly him to New York just to hug him. You know, that's yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
Talented guy too.
Yeah, and he's such like his art to me is just classic superheroes, you know. And it's funny because I asked him, what do you want to draw? And he's like, women. So I gotta draw some more, throw some more women in the next issue for him.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I got a super villain that I can't wait for him to draw.
A femme fatale.
Yeah.
Right. So you got 113 backers. I think Mike Smith, Ronan had backed.
Oh wow,
At
yeah,
least
it
he
went
had
up
said
during
so.
the show.
So
Thank
yeah,
you everybody.
so
Again,
you're at
I try not to
3,451.
get obsessively looking at it. You know, that'll just destroy your mental health. But thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. You know, you spend so much time wishing, hoping, and praying that there's a backer when you could have spent that time doing things that maybe get you a backer. And
Right.
that's a pitfall that sometimes people fall into with the campaigns, is that, you know,
Oh.
you're sitting there so intent. Please, someone, you know, come along, back it, and you're like staring at it and refreshing, and you're looking at it, and you're checking your email, and you're going back and forth, and meanwhile, you know, you could have spent like that half hour that flies away faster than you realize. You could have promoted it somewhere, spread the word somewhere else, you know, done
I've
whatever.
had some of the great, like Shadowpunk, who has his own comic called Shadowpunk. This guy's been doing a better job promoting me than me, you know. And he's not even on my team. He's just a good guy. But I had 113 backers, and thank you everybody. But I think I have like 113 of the most like active backers, because everybody's been sharing and retweet. I couldn't ask for a better group of people in my corner. You know, it's awesome.
That's great.
And speaking about what you said, I've been doing nothing but going on people's channels, on Twitter promoting, on Facebook promoting. I don't know if Blue Sky is worth it or Instagram is worth it, but you know, but to the point where it's Saturday, I don't know if you know Vaughn Coleman. He has Phenomenova live right now.
Vaughn's on the show tomorrow.
Oh, tell him I said hello. he messaged me. He's like, John, I'm going to be in Long Island tomorrow. You know, he's Friday night. I'm going to be in Long Island for Free Comic Book Day. You know, Billy Tucci and Cecil are going to be there. So I was like, yeah, I'm hemming and hawing. And my wife goes, get the F out of the house. You know, you're driving yourself crazy, sitting in the, because I turn off the lights. She's like, you're sitting in the dark in the basement talking. She goes, go out.
What are you doing, John?
Yeah, so I don't even know if it's raining out or you know what I mean, because I'm
turned into a comic book villain deep in your underground lair.
I'm in my lair. So I went down to the Comic Depot in Wantagh. You were in Long Island for a while, so you.
Oh yeah, I know the Comic Depot.
Yeah, it's been around for 30 years, and
yeah,
great. You know, I walk in there, there's pizza. Billy Tucci's like meeting Frank Sinatra. I don't know if you ever met Billy Tucci, but he's like. So I walk up to him. I'm all nervous. I'm like, "Hi, how you doing? I'm John from John's LONGBOX." And he looks at me and goes, "How come you never invited me on your channel?" And I was like, you know, instead of, I was like, "You want to come on my yeah." You know, and I got cards made up. You know,
you haven't had Billy on your channel?
No, for some reason I was always intimidated by him, and I was always intimidated by Graham Nolan. And Graham Nolan turned out to be the nicest guy in the world.
Oh yeah, so, both of them were super nice. Yeah,
super nice. And he's talking to me. He's taking and he's giving as he's.
Billy's just a regular dude.
Hardcovers, and he's giving people my card. This is John's card. You know, I was like, what a great guy. And then he goes, hang out. We're all going to a bar after this. So we all hung out in a bar. You know, I met Cecil. You know, what a charming guy Cecil is. Holy mackerel. You know, it was like barbarians. We had a big pile of chicken wings and beers. You know, and I'm like, this is so great. My wife told me, whose wives tell them to go hang out in bars and drink beers with people? Mine does. You know, so I it was the greatest thing.
Got to keep her there.
Yeah. Cecil's having me on his channel tomorrow. Billy Tucci is, you know, we're setting up to go on his channel. And
good.
Come up. Yeah. So I was like, this is great. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get out there. Got to talk about your stuff, talk about your book, you know, and that's good, man. I'm sure between the fact that you're going to be putting it on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, you're going to be a campaign veteran.
Yeah.
By the time all is said and done,
I'm going to treat each platform as its own campaign. Like, but you know, I'm probably going to I'm going to overprint on Fund My Comic. So you know, I'll have some for Kickstarter. But I'm hoping when Fund My Comic goes down to start delivering. You know, and then when Kickstarter goes up, you know, so I'm actually hoping by the time Indiegogo closes down, I'm going to start the Fund My Comic for issue 2. You know,
all right, man.
That's because you know, Renzo's getting the scripts on Monday for issue 2. You know, and I already started a lot of work for issue 1. You know, I got to get logos and things like that. So let's see.
Very nice, man.
So it's going to be permanent campaign mode, which does get a little draining, Pete.
Yeah. Well, be careful with one thing, because if you're combining all of the totals for your campaigns together, and you're offering a physical item with the trading cards, if you're going to be shipping out everything in stages, you're going to probably end up shipping out multiple times to people.
Right.
So just something to think about.
Yeah, I do think about like
even if you go, well, the Fund My Comic guys, you'll all get yours first when I ship things out, and then whoever, if you're doing Kickstarter next, then people will get the Kickstarter wave, they'll get their second. But if you wanted to ship everything out all in one shot, it's up to you.
Yeah,
It's just something to think about.
Yeah. Well, you've been doing it for a while. I listen to everybody, and I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I have a lot of ideas. I realized like I spent a lot of money on variant covers and made the comic, I think, a good value, a great value for $10. Not even a good value. For $10, I don't think you're gonna get a comic with as much jammed packed in it as this. You saw the artwork. So I don't know what else to say. It's a labor of love by a guy who loves comics. I already know each issue is getting better because each script is getting better. And I couldn't throw in as much as I wanted to in the first issue. I think I would have scared people away. So each issue is ramping it up. There's more cool, fun stuff that I love in comics. Like, oh, that's why Chris Claremont did this. That's why this was over here. Again, just in the artwork that I showed you, there's things, and
yeah.
I don't want to, well, you already know the wife is all burnt up. That's a story, there's a story about that.
It's good that you've got stuff like that in there too, because it makes me ask questions, and I'm asking them on air, but it makes the readers obviously look at something, and the image is telling a story, so it makes them wonder, well, why is that like that? What's going on with that? Why is that over there? And that's important, and especially if you as the writer, you're laying in those Easter eggs, on purpose.
Yeah,
then that's important, and that's what creates intrigue and will set up hopefully future interesting plots, and then eventually the stories write themselves.
Yeah, are you at that point with King Cryptid, where there's just enough? It's like a freight train now.
The first 4 issues was kind of like establishing the setting and the characters. 5 to 9, we're really going to get in the thick of it, but at 10 to 13, which is going to be the upcoming campaign in September, October, that's when things are going to start for me feeling like, okay, I got enough players involved, I got enough established, where it's getting easier and easier to write everybody. But with that comes kind of a pitfall as well, because then I have to do more editing, because there's a tendency then for me to put way more in, but then I got to go in there 2 or 3 times, edit and revise and chop things down, and make sure I'm distilling and not just putting in more stuff because I'm excited to get that out there.
That's exactly what I was doing.
But it becomes easier to just get the story out, that's for sure.
That's why, like, when guys were giving me advice, like, dude, you're excited and it tells and it's cool, but this is just imagine you never read Tolkien and somebody handed you the Silmarillion. Here you go. That's what I was doing in the first issue, and I was like, damn.
Yeah. You can't. You
gotta.
Part of me
was like, will I ever get to
bite-sized chunks?
Yeah. Will I ever get to? You're like, but then that's a defeatist attitude, also. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah.
So you get a good story, good superhero story. It's supposed to be me back in 1986 reading comic books, that we loved, and it's pure escapism. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to tell nothing like that. The only message in the comic is be a good guy. Good versus evil. Hey, Michael Bancroft is here. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for coming in. Again, he hosted my launch. It was really a lot of fun.
TJ says just back. Looks great.
Oh, thank you. I'm not looking at my phone. Like I said, it could drive you mad. Look, it's funny because I come home from work. My wife's like, nobody back today.
She's looking for you.
We had one day where nobody backed, and that was like, oh, my dream is over. Yes, but Michael said they tend not to enjoy info dumps as much. And you know what's funny? I'm living proof of this. It's easier somebody, and I'm not mentioning names, somebody asked, could you check out my script? They're getting ready to launch. So I looked at their script and I was like, I never thought I would say this, but I'm like, you got such a grand story, but you're rushing to get so that you're leaving out such wonderful chunks of meat. You know what I mean? Like I never thought I would say, like, he has a 3-issue series. You got to turn this into a 6-issue series, you know, because it's just, I said, this reads like an Image comic. Like, you just want to get to the fight scenes, but you need the hand on the doorknob scenes too to build it. So now I feel bad. He scrapped everything and started all over again. And then I'm looking at my script and it was the exact opposite. It was everything jammed into one issue. You know, I was like, oh yeah, I take my own advice. So that was fun to help a buddy out with his script. Oh, and I should say my buddy Mike has a comic that just finished up on Kickstarter, so I don't know if but it's set in Heroic Tales world because he's the player in my game. It's called Marshall Strong, and I hope that when he's done, I would like to someday, if I can, have a website with my comics, actually help him with, you know, put that comic as an offering on mine. Maybe by Indiegogo I'll be able to do that, because it's set in 2005 where mine is set in 2024 of the same world.
Oh,
you know?
okay, wow.
Yeah. You know.
Well, yeah. You know, you got time to figure it out.
Yep. It's exciting and it's fun and it's man, you know, again, listening to your boy Zach make I was like, this guy's got Chuck Dixon working for him. You know, he's got John Malin. This guy drew the X-Men. Like, I can make comics. And then it was like, I like 2 years. I'm like, I should do it. And then I'm like, well, no better time than the present.
Yeah, you gotta dive right in at some point.
Yeah,
you absolutely do.
Yep.
And thank you, What Geeks Do Network. Thank you for being excited about the next 5 issues there of King Cryptid. Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah,
you're ready to ship those, aren't you?
No. Starting to get ready. The art's almost done on the 5 issues. The art's done on like 2 of the issues, and the art's like 90% done on the other 3. And then it usually takes me a week per issue to letter and then get everything together and send it out. So probably fulfillment around sometime in July, August at this point between everything. But yeah, I'm gearing up for a lot of different perks to close out on June 1st, and then the books will slowly start getting all complete, and then we'll get that stuff out.
You'll be interested to know that there's going to be a cryptid story somewhere around issue 5. So,
nice.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but I think it's not a funny twist, but it's why Bigfoots are always blurry in photographs.
Oh, okay.
I will explain that.
I'm interested in hearing your take on that, because there's all kinds of theories as to why.
Yeah.
And thank you, Spicer. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Kid Cryptid's a good comic. I like your comic very much because it's, to me, it's the way comic books should be. A full story, and then the next issue, you know, it builds on what happened before, but, you know, every issue could be somebody's entry point. You know, like Jim Shooter and Stan Lee said. That's kind of what I'm going to try to do.
Yeah, again, I like to have.
But if you do, you're not.
There's a continuity. Yeah, there's a continuity of things, and they matter. So you're not just reading something where it feels like you're resetting every single time and running in place.
Oh, but consequences matter. If you see the Patriarch dies, he's dead. There's no multiverses. You know, there's other dimensions, but there's only one Patriarch. You know, I'll explain that in a future issue.
That's the same thing we're doing with King Cryptid and Blood Realm, because Mordrin exists in another dimension, but there's no multi, you know, King Cryptids and Chiron Morvels and whatever else.
In my universe, how could there be? Because there's slightly different rules of physics in every universe. So the coincidences that led up to the birth of Pete Samedi cannot possibly happen, you know, in a universe where the laws of physics are slightly different, you know. So
exactly, yeah.
But there is Spider-Gwen for some strange reason. So,
wait, what?
It's a running joke that there's Gwen Stacy version of every superhero. You know, so somebody asked me when is there going to be a Gwen Stacy version of the Patriarch? I was like, never.
I was going to say, John, we really got to talk about your character name choices.
I hate that idea. I hate all of that Gwen Stacy nonsense.
Oh boy. And yeah, underlying continuity is where it's at. Yeah,
Yep.
you need the overarching subplot.
Yeah, and
You
I'm
know.
never gonna start over again with number one. I hate that. I hate that. On Saturday, I was talking to a father and a daughter, and the father's like, "I'm into rock and roll, heavy metal," because I don't know where his daughter was like 16 years old. She goes, she just got into comic books. So I was like, we were talking, and she said this. I didn't prompt this. She goes, "I hate that they restart everything." She goes, "It was so easy when you got Fantastic Four 208." And they referenced something from like 195, and you were like, okay, that was 8 months, that was 11 months ago. You know what I mean? Like, she goes, but now when you get Fantastic Four #4, you're like, is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this? She goes, it's all so confusing. And this is from a kid who just got into comics, who's a teenager,
And ironically, that's done to make it easier for these new readers.
And it's not
Easier.
easy. People can understand sequential numbers.
Man, oh boy. Marcus, Rangers win in double overtime. I wish I had a goal horn for that.
That's good. That means they're going to have a good day at work tomorrow.
So they are up 2-0, right? I'm following my Bruins. They had a great game yesterday, and they pulled off that Game 7 victory against the Maple Leafs a few days before that. But, man, they whooped the Panthers last night, 5-1. So I'm hoping to see, hockey's my sport. It's the only one I follow anymore. I used to follow all of them, and then I just stopped after like 2006 or something, just hockey at that point. But I'm hoping to see the Bruins versus the Rangers. That'll be an interesting series.
Yeah. Out of all the sports, hockey's the only one that's interesting to me. Baseball is like watching paint dry. Oh, my subscribers just went down. But
Two refunds.
I just don't. And football's all right, but it just seems like too much politics in it. It seems like hockey is still escaping all of this nonsense.
Yeah, they flirted with it a couple of years ago, and then they got out of there real fast.
Because I don't think there's the big profit margins. They can't afford it, in hockey.
It's a tremendously, not that all the other sports aren't, but hockey is a tremendously global sport. It's very difficult to start saying, okay, American politics is the thing we need to really focus on.
Oh, I never thought about that. Okay.
So it's a very international sport as far as the player roster composition. But it's one of those things where let's just focus on who's the best player. If you want to tell me that some really great player is being kept out of the league because of political leaning or their age, their race, their this, their that, whatever the hell it is. Hell, if you could tell me the greatest hockey player on the planet is a woman, I want to see them play in the NHL. But it's one of those things where let's just keep it to the skill. Let's keep it to the skill of everything. And that goes for everything across the board.
Did you see in Maine, they just signed a bill to get more women construction workers? I'm like,
good. I wonder how many are going to join.
Yeah, good. So what does that mean? We're going to hire people just because they're women?
But that's the thing, right? That's when it gets into, and not to turn the show into a different topic, but that's when it gets weird for me when you start saying certain things like that, because then it starts feeling like I don't want anyone to not be able to pursue what they want to do with their life and be able to become the best at it to their level and capability, and then compete along with others for that opportunity, for that job, whatever it may be. But if you start saying, well, there's not enough so-and-so doing this job, or there's not enough this kind of person in that sport, or there's not enough, it turns into, well, what if now you're saying that you want to force people
right? So we're going to
do that path in life.
But like I always say, whenever somebody, I was going to say name a person, but when this person says to me, there's not enough women in STEM fields, and I said, for who? Not enough for who? What is the correct number?
Yeah, tell me about people that are very qualified that are then being held back.
And then this person got a free scholarship.
I'll champion that, and let's get that going. Like if someone's telling me that they can't get into whatever, and they're great at it, they're more than qualified, they're better than the person that got it, and they're not being in there, they're being truly discriminated against for whatever reason. But they are more than qualified enough. They're more than talented enough. They're more than hardworking enough. Everything, they check the boxes off for all the qualifications. That's something that I want to hear about. But
Right.
if it's just surface level trait is not in this field, okay.
Well, this person that I was talking about,
I don't know what that
she
means.
got a full scholarship to college. So I'm petty, and I wait and I wait and I wait, and she goes to college after complaining that there's not enough women in STEM. She graduates a 4-year degree in gender studies. So I said to her, I thought you were going to go in STEM. And she said, no. I said, but don't you remember you told me that there's not enough women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math? She goes, yeah. I said, so why didn't you go in? You had a free ride. What stopped you? She goes, but I wanted to do gender studies. I go, well, how many women were in gender studies? She goes, like, all of them. There's like one guy. I go, so you're going to get mad because most women choose what you choose? So you chose gender studies, but you're mad that other women aren't choosing STEM. I said, do you understand how nonsense this is? It's a free country. You could have picked anything you wanted. You picked what you wanted, just like most women pick what they wanted. Women choose, and I said, could you have gone it? Did somebody tell you not to? I said, but that's typical progressive behavior. You want other people to do things. You don't want to do it yourself because STEM is too hard. Gender studies is easy. And we don't talk anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I don't want to turn the show into a political conversation.
Well, who are you voting for, Pete?
Nobody.
I know. I'm joking.
But it's one of those things where I see that and I think, there's so many things across the line. It's tough for me to say this person will behave in this way. It's very difficult for me to broad brush people anymore. And I know there's a tendency to look at it and go, yes, there's a lot of people that are of that proclivity and that way of thinking, or maybe this and that, and then they behave that certain way or do certain thing. Yeah, okay, that's true. But then there's also outliers. So I don't like to broad brush. I don't like being broad brush, and I don't like to broad brush.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's the thing, is that when it comes to this sort of stuff, I'm all about, if you want to pursue what you want to do with your life, and someone is holding you back from that,
tell me that person.
Then tell me about that.
Yeah.
If you are more than qualified, if you are more than hardworking enough to do that, and you deserve that opportunity, give me freedom of opportunity. I'll take that any day over this other nonsense that wants to eliminate freedom of choice, because that's all freedom means. Freedom is infinite choice, and the more that you reduce choice, the less freedom you have. Now, in some cases, we have to reduce certain levels of freedom because there's all kinds of different choices at your disposal that infringe upon the freedoms of others. But when it comes to what you want to do and pursue as far as a job or whatever else, or what you want to accomplish in your life, especially in a positive way, if you're being held back from that, if you're being discriminated against on that level, then you got my ear. You got my sympathy. You got even my voice if I feel like it's worthy of banging the drum about that. But otherwise, saying that people aren't... Like, I had someone years ago say, there's not a lot of women creators at Alterna. And I was like, well, that's because 2% of my submissions are from women. And of those 2%, maybe 5% I thought were good enough to say, okay, let's have a conversation about this. What's the production schedule like? How is this going? What's this? What do you have planned? And then that's not polite, John. That's not polite. Wes is a wonderful guy. Now, so among that, it turns into, well, there's all other kinds of questions that are involved. They don't see, though, the fact that the 98% of the submissions that are men, the vast amount of those men get rejected.
Right, yeah.
So if I get 1,000 submissions in a year, which when we were taking submissions, that was kind of the average. If 95 to 98% of them are men, and I'm accepting maybe 2 or 3 a year, out of the 990, whatever that math comes out to, we're talking about 900 plus men are getting rejected a year from me, as opposed to maybe the 10 or 15 women. So it's like, wait a second. You want me then to say that I should force women to submit
Yeah, you got to
their
go
comics to
grab,
Alterna?
you got to grab
That's
women and tell them write for Alterna,
yeah, that's incredibly strange.
or go into a YA and recruit women to write for Alterna. It works so good for Marvel.
It's and the thing is, there are tremendously talented women in comics.
Of course,
Some
there
of my favorite creators are women in comics. Some of my favorite colorists, Glynis Oliver. One of my favorite writers, Ann Nocenti. You know, so there's all kinds of Louise Simonson.
Like I
all
said,
kinds of
Karen
amazing
Berger,
women
the most
in comics.
important woman in comics that nobody even heard of.
But yeah, so it's one of those, you know, now if someone was holding them back from being able to pursue that as a career, as an option for them to work in, even though they were more than talented and qualified enough to do that, then I want to hear about it. But otherwise, we don't have that going on.
Right.
You know, we haven't had that kind of stuff going on for a while. But if we do, and when we do, I want to hear about it.
Yep.
But we don't really hear about it.
Put in the comics fiendish. Renee is super
Oh,
talented.
Sandra Hope, yeah, she's tremendous, and she has an amazing attitude, very talented, very accessible, great to work with. From everybody I've talked to that's worked with her, I had the pleasure of talking with her on this channel about a month or so ago. I'm going to have her on again in the future.
Cool.
You know, but so there's so many great people that walk this earth. Why are we trying to force them to do something with their life that they don't want to do? We should be encouraging them to do something with their life that they want to do. And that's the conversation that bugs me, is we keep looking at what we keep approaching the problems of the world not through what we have in abundance, and looking at that and going, how are we achieving this abundance? And let's see if we could do that for other things to help the problems where we lack. Instead, everything is, you can have tremendous amount in front of you and still not be satisfied, and still find fault with it, and still constantly be unhappy and see the lack. And
that's why I said why
bizarre.
Complain? What am I going to complain about? I'm writing a comic book. I'm sitting in a basement full of comic books. I got toys all over my grandfather didn't have all of this. My grandfather was working all day, you know, for nothing. So why complain? Look at the lives we're living. Me and you sitting in a room full of comic books talking about comic books. What could I possibly complain about?
Yeah, then that's the thing. If someone's like, okay, so with your book, if they're like, well, you know, let's say you show me your book, and I'm like, well, wouldn't you rather do, and then I explain what it amounts to King Cryptid. Wouldn't you rather just make this instead? You're like, no.
Well,
but it sounds like you want to do that, Pete. Why don't you make that? And I'm like, well, I don't want to. You should make that, though, because I'd like to see that.
Well, that's the guy at work.
That's the weird
comic book about the construction site. And,
yeah.
And
that's the weird thing, is everyone's projecting. You know, you want to do that with your life, go do that with your life. Otherwise, you know, let people do what they want to do with their lives. If they want to do that for a living, or if that brings them joy, as long as it's not hurting someone else or contributing to the world in a negative way. And even in that respect, it turns into a very existential conversation. So it's one of those things where every single individual that's out there is making their own choices. And to lump people together and turn it into a statistical category and everything else, man, we're going down a weird path on that.
Yeah. Master Hobo says that's a lot of comics in the background. You can't even see all the long boxes on the floor that I'm going to trip over when I get up.
Seriously,
there's comic freaking everywhere. It's like a comic book store exploded over here. I got a table over there. I'm sorting comics.
Oh, you got like 50,000 something comics, you said, right?
Yeah, and my database died when my computer died, so I'm rescanning. I got this comic scanner. It scans the barcodes.
Oh, you're doing the barcodes. Wow, man.
Yeah,
you're really in there.
Yeah, and then I'm finding out that I'm missing issues, so I'm buying like comics that I thought I had and I didn't have, and then I find them someplace else, so now I have two copies, and but whatever. It's comics, so it's fun.
More the merrier, right?
Yeah. Do you fulfill all your comics on your own, or do you have a service that does it?
No, I do it. Yeah, I do it.
Do you enjoy it, like bagging and boarding them, putting them in the?
I do. It helps me to I know it might sound weird to say this, but it helps me to come up with other stories.
You know,
Doing the monotonous task, letting my mind kind of wander.
I asked you pretty much already knowing that you were going to say you enjoyed it, because that's one of my things. The comic book fairy comes down, boink, I'm running Marvel Comics, you're running DC Comics, and we're in charge of hiring people. That's one of the first. The first question would be, show me your comic book collection. You sit down, okay, show me take out your phone and show pictures of long boxes, and I don't want to see your Comixology digital comics crap. I want to see and then the second question is, do you enjoy bagging and boarding and sorting comics? If they say no to either one, they're not hired. That means you're not into comics. Because my wife even says to me,
those are the entry level questions. Yeah, those just to get through.
Just to get the foot in because my wife says she enjoys when I'm sitting there and I'm sorting it. When I'll take out a big stack of comics, put all the A's over here, all the B's over here, blah, 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 and then I go backwards order from all the Z's, put them in alphabetical order so I can put the stack, and then I put them in a long box. Then I take the long box into the back room and I sort. But I'm whistling when I do it. I'm listening to music, or I got your channel on in the background. Listen, you know what I mean? And she just says, like, you're so happy. And next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, it's 4:00 in the morning on a Saturday. And if you don't, that's part of comic books. Like it or not, that's just as much as part of comic books as knowing that the Thing could beat Batman. You hear that, audience? The Thing could beat Batman. I don't want to hear any of that nonsense. Batman can't beat the Thing. All right, so there we go. But that's just as much as comic books is arguing if the Flash could fight Hulk or something like that.
Anyone can beat anyone, John. Whoever wins, it's because the writer wanted them to win.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say something, and I realized how ridiculous it. Well, logically, the Thing could beat Batman, but then I realized we're talking about a rock being and a guy who should be dead 20 times over. Prep time. Paul says prep. With prep time, anybody could beat anybody else. With prep time, Ben Grimm could beat anybody. You know what I mean? My rules for fighting.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what's interesting. Why would they fight?
Yeah.
And how does either the Thing or Batman win? Yeah. Also, I mean, it's fun to see the heroes fight, but
here you go,
man. There's so many. There's so many things in comics where everything is just the hero's the villain. That's a very just tiresome trend.
The good guys are good guys in my comics. Lately. There's one guy who's borderline, and that's the point of him, to show you that you don't want superheroes like him. So here you go. Who would win in a fight, King Krypton or the Patriarch?
Depends who's writing.
Right. That's the honest answer.
For me, it depends who's writing and what does the victory accomplish. If we're just talking about it's like a beat 'em up Street Fighter video game.
Find out in Blood Moon. Should we announce it? Should we announce the?
Hey, you can announce it, but I have no part in it.
No, who would win in a fight? Let's just say the fans. The fans would win. Watching that, buying that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you're right. Yeah. But this is the kind of stuff. This is the kind of drama I like. A guy at work.
I love fictional drama. Fictional drama is fantastic. I live for fictional drama.
A guy at work was walking by me, and he knows I'm a comic book guy, so he just goes, "I got one for you." And I'm like, "What is he talking about?" And he goes, "Hulk versus Flash. I'll talk to you tomorrow." And all day long, I was thinking, who would win in a fight? The Hulk versus Flash. The Hulk versus... You know what I mean? So I thought about it all day long to have an answer for him. And then the next day at lunchtime, we were like, he was the Flash and I was the Hulk. I'm like... He's like, come on, man. The Hulk can't even touch the Flash. I'm like, yeah, but the Hulk doesn't get tired. Sooner or later, the Hulk just has to land one hit. And he's like, no way. Well, the Flash can do this, vibrate through him. I said, yeah, but that doesn't hurt the Hulk. Sooner, it was funny, though. That's the kind of comic book nonsense I want to talk about with people. My wife is looking at me like, what are you doing? It's 11:30.
Yeah, you got to get going, John.
Yeah, I got to get up at 4:30.
I started a half hour earlier just for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yep. So, yeah.
John, thank you so much for being on here, man. It's always a fun time. Everybody, thank you guys as well. Everyone in the chat, thank you for your questions, your comments, your participation, all that good stuff. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're like, this was crap, give it a thumbs down. Don't worry, you won't hurt my feelings.
You'll hurt mine.
But make sure you're subscribed, though. Because every now and then, a great show maybe like this one, comes along and you don't want to miss it, make sure you ring the bell. YouTube's been really weird. It's like up to, down to, up to, down to every friggin' day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I noticed
But
that
yeah,
too.
yeah. Guys, make sure you're still subscribed to the channel.
Yes.
And other than that, everybody go check out Heroic Tales. That issue #1 is on Fund
Thanks
My
a lot
Comic.
for people that backed during this, Amanda. You're the best. Thank you. The real
Yeah.
superheroes are you. How is that? Is that
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that.
But
They
thanks.
are the heroes.
Yep. Well, without the fans, it's just me talking to nobody.
Oh, we're just crazy people wasting paper and ink.
Yeah, exactly.
They give us a purpose and a reason. Then it's like, okay, good. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm not just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not just seeing pictures and hearing the voices in my head.
Well, I am crazy, and it's for a purpose. How's that?
That's good too.
Should
I
be
like
true.
that.
Yeah.
And the Master Hobo says, I'm a homeless hero.
Yep.
All right, well, there you go.
I have a homeless superhero idea that I'm trying to work up. So you'll maybe issue 12.
All right. Playing the long game, huh, John?
Well, yeah, like I said, I got a lot of scripts, but let's see. It's up to you guys.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be back here at 9:30 Eastern with Vaughn Coleman.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I'll be talking to him about his comic Phenomenova. I think that's it.
Yep. It's a cool title. Phenomenova. Looks great.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But I'll be back 9:30 tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll see you guys then too. And other than that, John, thank you so much for being
No
on
problem.
tonight.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, always is. All right, guys. Everybody, have a wonderful night and an even better tomorrow. I'll see you soon. All the
Bye-bye.
best.